just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
I say a lot of things, and a lot of people try to call me out on my, certain takes that I have that might be a little ridiculous. And sometimes I get proven wrong. And I always encourage people to call me out and tell me I'm wrong. It's part of it's part of what comes with me making these statements. But I will always come on here and admit that I'm also wrong. I'm never that stubborn to sit here and pretend like I'm always right. And I bashed TCU the entirety of the season. I have bashed Max Duggan as not being a good quarterback. I don't think he's that great still. But Max Duggan and TCU has proven a lot to me after this game. And I am admitting to the Horned Frogs that I was wrong about them in my evaluation. This game was a real head scratcher for Oklahoma State because they were playing really well up until about the third quarter. And the offensive play calling was very, very questionable. They put up some early points, and then they had some drives stall out where they started kicking field goals, and that's what helped TCU get back into the game. But what I'm referring to is that the whole game, they were running all these goofy trick plays, and they kept running a lot of screens. And if a team is doing that, you're usually not well prepared or well matched up with your opponent. If you have to rely on that to win a football game, you usually don't have enough confidence in your skill players and your roster to score points normally. And towards the third, fourth quarter, when the fourth quarter hit, they ran out of trick plays. TCU stayed the course, and I give a ton of credit to Sonny Dykes and this TCU team to not overly compensating to what Oklahoma State was doing. They maintained their defensive approach because by the time the fourth quarter came, they just said, all right, keep running these screens. We know that you're going to run them. Keep trying to run these slow developing plays, and we're going to get sacks. We're going to get after Spencer Sanders. If you're going to keep running these slow developing plays and these screens, eventually we're going to get to him. And that's what happened. That is what caused their offense to stall. Gundy was not prepared to do anything outside of these screens and these trick plays and these slow developing plays, and it caught up to him. And the grit and the fight that TCU showed to climb back into this game, I got to give them a hell of a lot of credit. They deserve to be in the top 10 discussion, maybe even the top 7 discussion. And there is going to be a legitimate battle between them and I think maybe Texas right now or Kansas State for that Big 12 championship. It is going to be hard to predict who that matchup is going to be between. And I keep saying a different team every single week because it's probably the most unpredictable conference. But as of right now, after that game, TCU looks like they are the best shot to win the Big 12. And again, are another team that will fit into the conversation of who is the 4th team in the college football playoff. If they win out, they are going to place themselves in that position. And I really quickly want to look up what the remaining schedule is, because that might have been one of their more difficult matchups. So after that, they play Kansas State. If you win that football game, your next hurdle is Texas. They have games against West Virginia, Texas Tech, Baylor, and Iowa State, which are all winnable for them. But their season and the outcome of their season is going to come down to that Kansas State game and that Texas game. And Texas had their own issues that popped up when they played against Iowa State. TCU looks really good, man. And there was even a note here from Colin. I give credit to Duggan for doing better than I was willing to admit he's capable of being. He's a great athlete. He's a really good college quarterback. And because he's hard to contain, it ends up opening him up to get a lot of easy completions. And his completion percentage, his QBR, is through the roof right now. It's one of the best in the country. I was a little perplexed when I was reading a lot up on Duggan that his numbers were this good. His efficiency is one of the best in the country. Which you watch him play, he doesn't look like a guy that would be hitting those standards. But it helps when you're a guy like Max Duggan to have a man as freakish as Quentin Johnston to throw the football to. Quentin Johnston, the remainder of the receiving core for TCU is talented. It's explosive. they can pick up huge chunk plays in a second. And that's why TCU is always going to be in any football game that they might be down by 2 or more scores like they were in this game against Oklahoma State. But Quentin Johnston is the best amongst the group. He's 6'4". He's about 215 pounds. He's going to run in the 4.4s. I will post clips of him on the YouTube shorts and on our TikTok channel every single freaking week if he keeps making plays the way that he's making them. The body control, the strength, the power, the just overall athleticism is on a freakish level. There are not that many guys in the country, very few in the country, that can do things that Quentin Johnston can do. And I've talked to Ryan Roberts, who's my co-host for the draft show on this channel, and he's kind of giving me shit because I've said that I think he might be in the conversation for wide receiver 1 because the class is not as good as previous ones. But the more performances and more plays I keep seeing from Quentin Johnston like this, the more I'm willing to reconsider and make that judgment, make that assertion. I am excited to watch his full tape at the end of the season when I do my evaluations, because so far the highlight plays, the concentration, the body control, the explosiveness on his breaks, everything that he has shown is up to the level of being one of the top receivers selected and maybe a first-round pick in the 2023 NFL draft. But he, I think, deserves to be in a conversation for the Blitnikoff. The way that he is playing, the games and the numbers that he is putting up is Blitnikoff worthy. There are a lot of arguments to be made for him, and I absolutely love on a week-to-week basis just showing up in my timeline another crazy catch by Quentin Johnston. And if you don't know who he is, if you have no idea who Quentin Johnston is, go look up his highlights. Go watch his highlights.